Hey friends, it's Mary Giordano and welcome to Unapologetically Wild. Every single day, you have a choice. You can stay where you are, or you can step into the possibility of something even greater. And I'm here to spark that flame within you and inspire you to show up, embrace the fear, and do the fucking thing. Messy, scared, and real. Let's get started. Hey friends, welcome back to Unapologetically Wild. If you're someone who's constantly asking, why don't I feel more confident by now? Why do I have such a hard time feeling confident? If you show up for everyone else but can't seem to follow through on the things you say you want, if you've started to wonder if maybe confidence just isn't for you, I want to clear that up right now. There's actually a reason so many women don't feel confident. They don't feel like they have it in them to do the fucking thing. And what I'm about to say, it might come as a surprise, but once you understand this, it will shift how you see confidence forever. Not only that, it'll give you a clear way to start actually building it. Confidence is just self-trust on repeat. Let me say that again. Confidence is just self-trust on repeat. It's not a vibe you tap into, it's not about being fearless, and it's definitely not something you wait around to feel. Confidence is built in the small, boring moments when no one's watching and you do what you said you would. Not the things you do for other people, because most of us are already good at that. So good, in fact, that we'll bend, stretch, and overextend ourselves just to avoid letting anyone else down while breaking our own word and calling it no big deal. And every time we do that, we chip away at our confidence, not because we failed, but because we trained ourselves not to believe in us. That's where confidence starts. The things you promised yourself. It's doing the workout when you said you would. It's getting out of bed when you said you'd stop snoozing. It's choosing the action over the excuse again and again and again. That's where trust is built. And the women who actually feel confident, they're not waiting to be ready. They've just stopped ghosting themselves. In this episode, I'm pulling apart the myth that confidence magically shows up before you leap and showing you how it's really built through daily follow-through, self-trust, and doing the thing scared. So if you've been stuck in the loop of overthinking, hesitating, or not following through, this episode is for you. Here's the thing. A lot of women say they want to feel more confident, but what they really mean is, I want to trust myself again, or I just want to trust myself, period. They want to know that when they say they're going to do something, they'll actually follow through. They want to feel solid, steady, rooted, not constantly second-guessing, self-sabotaging, or flaking out on their own plans. If you're like most women, you get up and do everything for everyone else. You show up at work, you text your friends back, you don't bail on commitments to other people, you push through, overextend, people please, and power through. But when it comes to you, you ghost. You break your own promises. And then you beat yourself up for not being confident, motivated, or on it. How would anyone trust someone who bails all the time? If someone did that to you, you'd stop believing them. You'd stop inviting them. You'd stop texting them. So of course you don't trust yourself. And I say that with zero judgment. I've done it. We all have. Especially women who carry a lot. You're busy, you're stretched, you're doing your fucking best. But let's stop pretending we don't know why our confidence is shaky. It's not a mystery. It's the result of tiny, repeated moments where you choose the excuse over the follow-through. Not because you're weak, but because it's easier in the moment. And then that becomes your pattern. It's not about motivation. We've spoken about that a million times in the past. And it's not about some massive self-help breakthrough. It's about consistency over intensity. It's about showing up for the tiny things you said you do. Not to prove anything to anyone else, but to start rebuilding your own self-trust. That's where confidence begins. So I want to break this down for you because I'm not just saying follow through because it sounds cute. There's actual psychology behind it. When you keep promises to yourself, even those tiny ones, the ones that you don't think matter, your brain starts collecting proof. Proof that you can be counted on. Proof that when you say you're going to do something, you mean it. And over time, That evidence becomes your identity. You stop wondering, can I do this? You stop spiraling every time something feels hard. You just know, I show up, I figure it out, I don't ghost myself anymore. It's not about hype. It's not about being the most confident person in the room. It's about having a track record with yourself. And that's a hell of a lot more powerful than the fake it till you make it energy. And I'm not talking about huge dramatic leaps. I never am. I'm talking about doing the thing you said you would, even when it's inconvenient, even when you're tired, even when it's just you and no one else is watching or keeping score. And it's not about being perfect. Remember, perfection does not exist. It's about building reliability with you. Even if you're hitting 70%, you're still shifting the pattern. Because for most women, the pattern has been, I come last. I'll do it later. And every time you do that, you reinforce a story, I can't count on me. And that keeps chipping away at your confidence. But when you finally start to interrupt that cycle, even with small actions, those micro shifts I always talk about, you start to feel different. Not instantly, but consistently. You start walking through your day with more steadiness, more ownership, more presence. Not because your circumstances changed, but because you changed. And here's the shift I want you to hear. Confidence doesn't come from feeling ready. It comes from creating a pattern of, I do what I say I'll do. When that becomes who you are, not who you're trying to become, not who you wish you were, but who you actually are, you stop looking for permission. You stop questioning if you're enough. You stop outsourcing your worth. You just live it. You embody it. And again, this isn't about the hustle. It's not about 5 a.m. mornings or hyperproductivity. This is about integrity, about healing the relationship you have with your own word. Because when your word starts to mean something again, not just to everyone else, but to you, you start to feel powerful. And that's where real confidence lives. So how the hell do you start trusting yourself again when you've flaked 100 times before? Well, you start small, like stupid small. The kind of small your brain tries to talk you out of immediately. Because most women, they try to fix the gap with a total overhaul. New planner, new routine, new morning ritual with 16 steps. They go hard for a few days and then they burn out. And they do this over and over and over again. And then comes the shame spiral. I knew I wouldn't stick with it. I always fall off. What's the fucking point? Let me tell you what the point is. You don't rebuild trust by being perfect. You rebuild it by doing one thing you said you do and then doing it again tomorrow. And when you miss it, you don't ghost yourself. You recover. That's the real flex. And yeah, I get it. You might think, what the hell is 5 minutes going to do, Mary? Well, you know what it does? It gives you proof. 5 minutes is more than 0. It's 5 minutes more than the version of you who kept talking about it and never moved. And maybe you don't feel like it. Maybe your brain's negotiating. But if you show up anyway for 5 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever, you just built a brick of trust. And that matters more than some perfectly curated routine you can't sustain. And this isn't about checking a box. This is about changing the story from I never follow through to actually, I just did. Even if it's small, even if it's messy, even if it's late. You don't need a new plan. You need a new agreement with yourself. Something that says, I don't need to earn my worth by doing more. I'm just going to show up for me, even if no one claps for it. That's the shift. That's how confidence starts to grow, not from noise, but from evidence. So if you've been doubting yourself, if your confidence feels shaky, if you're sitting in that familiar cycle of starting strong, falling off, and then ghosting yourself, take a breath because you're not broken. You just stopped trusting your own word. And the good news is you can rebuild that trust again, not through a perfect streak, not by overhauling your whole life, just by showing up today. So if you're listening right now thinking, I've broken so many promises to myself, well, cool. What's one promise you can keep today? Nothing huge, just one. Because that's all it takes to start turning things around. One shift, one choice, one follow through. That's how you become someone you trust. That's how confidence is built. And that, my friend, is how you start changing your fucking life. Thanks for tuning in today. If this episode hit home, subscribe and share it with a friend, because together we can bring more women into this wild, unapologetic space. Remember, waiting until you feel ready is the fastest way to nowhere. So show up, embrace the fear, and do the fucking thing. And don't forget to subscribe to my Unapologetically Wild Chronicles. The links to the show notes. Until next time, stay wild.